Hello everyone, hope you all are doing great. I'm very excited to announce this new video series on iOS 14 Widget Kit. In this series, we will be creating our own iOS widgets in iOS 14 using SwiftUI and Widget Kit. Though we will be creating various different widgets in this course, and they're going to be ranging from simple widgets where we're going to learn how we can create widgets. So you're going to learn about widget creation process and basically what it takes to create a widget, and we're going to be building this simple calendar widget, and we're gonna push that into into iOS's widget library, so we can actually see that and add it to our screen. Okay, and from there on, we'll go on and create a weather widget. So let me show you that one. So that's a weather widget, and you're gonna learn how to support different types of widgets on different size of families. So you have small, you have medium, and you have large, and how to support different kind of content on different kind of widgets. Okay, so you're gonna be learning about that. You're gonna be learning about how to create a preview mode, basically when your widget is being loaded and when your widget is gathering the information, what do you show to your user, and how to keep them in sync of data being loaded, so they know that there is something going on in the background. So you're going to be learning about widget families, small, medium, large, how to show the preview or the placeholders and stuff. And we'll also look at configurable widgets, so widgets that can be configured. So for example, if you look at if you create another widget for expense widget, so this is what we're going to be creating, and you add this expense widget on your screen, you can simply tap hold and edit that widget to basically choose another category. And depending upon which category you have chosen, for example food, your widget is going to change that. Now this gives you an opportunity to add another widget. So I'm going to go and add another widget, and these two widgets can live on their own or with their own categories. So for example, if I change this to grocery expenses, so there we have it. So you have you have grocery expense, you have food expense, same widget, two different variations. So you're gonna learn how to create configurable widgets, so you can have different widget tile for different configuration, and they all refresh on their own timeline. Now at the end, we will build a widget bundle, and this widget bundle is going to be where you're going to see how you can create a widget library for your app and package different kind of widgets in the same app. Okay, so for that we will be building this multiple widgets quotes widget library. Okay, where you're gonna have your widget, which is gonna support different modes, and this is basically gonna fetch online quotes, random quotes from famous people, and it is also gonna have a exchange rate widget. So let me select and find the exchange rate. So basically you can find out the current exchange rate, what is going on. So these are very different sort of nature of widgets. So you're going to be packaging these two different widgets into a single app. All right, and then you're gonna basically ship that within that same app into the user's phone, so user can actually take advantage of two different kind of widgets from the same app. Okay, so basically this class will cover all the information that you need to build your own widgets, and it's going to be widgets, we're gonna have like beginner level, and then we're gonna go medium and advanced. So we're gonna take every step towards gaining that knowledge to build really advanced widgets. And we're going to be using iOS 14 and SwiftUI 2.0 for this. So this class can serve all group of students, whether you're a beginner or you're advanced level. This is gonna give you something or the other. WidgetKit is very new to the market, so we all are learning. So this is a great time to actually gather this knowledge, and because we'll be starting from scratch, it'll not leave no room for guesswork, and you're gonna see a practical implementation and practical approach as how to go about and build your widget kit. So join me in this journey where we will be creating so many widgets to learn all there is for the widget kit. All right, thank you so much, and I will see you guys in next video. Hello and welcome, guys. Hope you all are doing great. And today we are starting a new series on Apple's newly announced widget kit. Okay, so what we're going to be doing in this series, so let me set a context a little bit before we start, is we are going to be building various different widgets, and we're going to start with a very simple one. Now, one thing to keep in mind that widget kit is changing constantly, and I have seen it change from Xcode beta, first beta when it was released, and second beta when it was released, and third beta released some more new things and deprecated a lot of old things and stuff like that. So things are still sort of shaky, but it's a great way to learn, actually. I mean, with each beta making things more strong is what you need, and you get the opportunity to try it out firsthand before it goes out for full release. Yep. So which is why I decided that I think beta 3 is the right point where things are looking a little bit more promising and stable. So I thought we can start at this point and then later on make some more videos to cover more recent changes or updates and stuff like that. Okay, so if all that sounds good, let's go ahead and explore what the widget kit is. So I'm sure you guys have seen WWDC, and you saw Apple's excuse me, Apple's demo on WidgetKit, but let me show you how widgets look like. So this is our simulator, and let me cancel it out. So you have this regular phone screen, and this app is no longer there. So let me remove this, and okay, so this is a new dialog that comes up. You can either remove from home screen or you can delete completely. So I'm going to delete it. And yeah, so this is your home screen, and you can add widgets to it. So all you need to do is tap hold or long press and click on this plus sign. Next thing, you're going to see the list of apps that actually have some sort of widget. So if you select, for example, calendar, maybe you get these calendar sort of updates, right? So this is one form, and as you can see, all these items that are listed here, they didn't have any value, and later on values appeared. That's actually called placeholder, and we're going to be looking at that. But Apple has changed a lot of things in placeholder as well. Just to warn you, up until Xcode beta 2, placeholders and widget updates used to work different than now. Now the whole widget becomes black, and I think that's a bug that they're gonna fix in future releases. I read in Apple's forum that they're actually actively working on some of the placeholder related bugs. But anyways, so yeah, these are different kind of widgets. So there are three different families. You have small, you have medium, and you have large. Okay, and if you go ahead and take a look at other widgets, for example, let's say take a look at battery. So battery has same thing, right? And you can actually take that, so you can simply grab on these, and if you long press, okay, I think dismissed it, so let me select it and click on add widget. It actually places it on the home screen, and then you can let it go. You can hold tap to basically if there is any configuration, you can actually edit that configuration. Looks like this one does not have it, so let me go ahead and remove this widget, and let me go ahead and add it, another one. And reason I want to show you this, because we are going to be creating configurable widget as well. Like you can provide the configuration. So I'm going to add this news one right here, and let's tap and hold. There you go. So you see this add widget, right? Edit widget. This edit widget, you click on it, widget flips around, and you can provide your own UI. This is a custom UI that Apple is providing, or you can have a configuration related. So as you can see, this is still like, not very it's not getting configured properly. So let's find a one that actually can. Honestly, I haven't had a chance to explore Apple's existing widgets myself as well. So let's edit this one, and let's take a look what we got. Okay, edit. And okay, so it shows you this list, and then you can click on this, and that actually launches a custom modal and stuff like that. And in future videos we're gonna see how we can create this, but there's another list that actually comes up as a sheet, and you can select it from there. But yeah, there are a lot of configuration opportunities that you have in here. Okay, so it shows you how many reminders do you have, and this is tied directly to the reminders app. So if you tap on it, it will open your reminders app. Okay, there we go. So it opens up the reminders app. All right, so that is gonna be these are the widgets. Okay, and they take 4 icon size on the screen. And what Apple is designing these to be are glanceable content information only. So you cannot put animations or toggle buttons or stuff like that onto the screen. It should be a glanceable, quick glance information that actually provides the information about your app, and basically app how it actually has relation to your users. So whatever let's say you offer an app that has pizza delivery, right? So that app actually shows pizza delivery status. So your widget can allow your customers to see where their pizza is at. Has it left the pizza shop yet? Is it made? It's ready? It's on the way? When it's gonna arrive and stuff like that. So you can provide that glanceable information in here, or news, your reminders and stuff like that. So those are some of the examples that you have for widgets. Now, like I said, they come in 3 flavors. So let's take screen time, and you can take second one. So that's called medium, and it takes 2 rows, complete 2 rows, and 2 columns. So 2 rows and 2 columns, or 4 columns actually, 1 2 3 4 and 2 rows. Yep. So and you have more space to work with. And here you can provide links. So there's a new API called links, and you can provide hotspot, 4 links that can be tabbed, that can deep link into different locations of your app. Now this one is one giant link, and when you tap on it, it actually opens up that one place where you're targeting. Okay, now if you add the last one, so let me add the battery status, third one, because see, it has a lot of things in here. So this is the biggest one, and this takes almost half of the screen, and it has like, you know, all these rows can act as individual links as well. Okay, and as you can see, it has like a lot more information than your other widgets can have. Now there's one thing that Apple has not updated their documentation yet, or at least I haven't found yet, is how to provide this transparency. So you can see, like, you know, these are a little bit transparent, and they're showing the background a little bit. So, like, you know, I haven't seen that documentation yet, so that's yet to find, but we'll find out soon, like, you know, all about widgets. Okay, anyways, so we're gonna be starting up like, you know, the series where we're gonna be creating a whole bunch of widgets, and we're gonna be starting off with a simple widget, so to understand how widgets actually how they work and what are the required components that are there for a simple widget, because there's a lot of things that go on, and we need to understand all those. And then we're gonna take it slow and like make it a little bit more complex scenarios. Okay, so there's a lot to discuss, so let's go ahead and get started. In the next video, we're gonna be starting up and creating our very first widget. Okay, so I'll see you guys in next video. Thank you. Hello and welcome back. And in this video, we're going to be starting off our very first widget. So let's go ahead and create that. All right, so I have this project created. So before we start, I want to show you we have Xcode 12 beta 3. Okay, so we are working off of beta 3. Okay, and with that, let's go ahead and add a new widget. So to add a new widget to an existing project, and this project is basically simple, the simplest it can be. There's literally nothing in it. I simply did file new project, and that's about it. Okay, I mean, after that, you can just go ahead and create, like, you know, from the template, select iOS app, and then click next, provide your information about the product, click next, and create that. That's about it. Okay, so we can go ahead and create our widget now. So go to File, New, and add a new target. Okay, now once you click on new target, there's going to be a whole bunch of things that are going to show up. There are several extensions that you can create. The one that we are interested in, and the newest member in this family, is widget extension. So we're going to select widget extension like here, and click next. Okay, then we're going to give our widget a name. So I'm going to name this simple widget. Okay, and you can name it whatever you want to. You might have, if first time when you're creating, you might have this include configuration intent selected. Leave it off or deselected. Basically, if it's like this, just unselect that one and leave it off because we're gonna see how to add this on our own later on in the videos. During the series, we're gonna see how we can include configuration intent and provide the configuration information. Okay, next up is a project. You're gonna have only one choice. If you have more than one project within your workspace, if it's a workspace, then you're gonna have a selection for that, but leave the default one. Or, like, you know, leave the main one where you're trying to add. Embed in, make sure this is gonna be there. Just make sure that it's actually embedded with the application, because widgets always ship with the app itself. Okay, with that, just click finish. There's going to be another dialog that's going to pop, and that's going to be about activating the widget. And we do want to activate the widget and create a scheme. So we're going to activate it, and it's going to create a scheme right here. And this scheme actually will allow us to directly run the widget, and it's going to add that widget right here. If it doesn't add it, then that's fine. We can actually go ahead and add widget traditional way, which tap, hold, and then click on plus sign on the home screen. So that's how you can do it. Okay, so with all this setup, you are ready to go. So you would have this new folder right here that says simple widget, the name that he gave, and it had its own info plist, its own assets, and its own simple widget file. Now this file has a whole bunch of things, and as you can see, this new warning started showing up, and this is actually pretty new. It started coming up with this beta release, and what Apple is trying to do is basically trying to get rid of this, or get away with this placeholder. So they're removing this placeholder view, and they're actually still trying to figure out, like, what to do. So for this course, we're gonna keep our placeholder view because like I said, things are not fully fleshed out for placeholder views, and they're still actively working on it. So we're gonna leave it as is, and we're gonna use and work with the warning until the next beta comes out, and hopefully they're gonna be much more decisive on what they want to do with the placeholder view. Okay, but let's go ahead and run this widget right as is, and this should show us a time. Okay, so this is actually launching on iPod Touch. We don't want iPod Touch, we want iPhone 11 Pro Max. So let's go ahead and launch on that. Okay, let's give it a minute, and it's basically gonna launch, and what this widget is gonna show is a simple time. So if you look at here, it's just a text entry of date, and the style is time, so it's only gonna show us time. There we go. So this is what you see, and if you remove this widget, so let me remove this, and you tap hold, click on plus, and go all the way to widget create explore simple, you can see your widget being shown in 3 different family size. Okay, and you can click on add, and there we go, it adds that. And if I run it again, you can see the placeholder view being shown here, and it just shows placeholder view until the time actually comes. So okay, we try it one more time, and it's installing right now, so it's gonna take a minute or two. Okay, yeah, still working through that. Okay, anyways, like I said, like, things are still not 100%. Okay, yeah, that actually happens where you would see Xcode not being able to connect to your simulator sometimes, and you're gonna see that error is pretty consistent on the beta release. I've seen this since beta 1. Okay, anyways, let's go ahead and get started with our widget development. And what we're gonna do is first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna remove everything. We don't need all these. Okay, and we're gonna start from scratch. Okay, so first thing I like to do is basically arrange my code. So I'm gonna create a new group without folder, and this one is gonna be called views. There might be some models involved, so let's create models, and let me create app as well, where we're gonna put all these app related things in here. And I'm gonna create one more that's gonna be widget. So all widget related stuff is gonna go inside, and I'm gonna put simple widget inside that. Okay, so let me put this at top. Okay, awesome. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the first thing. So the first thing that you need is basically a model for your widget. Okay, and the widget that we're gonna create is again gonna be it's gonna be a time, but we're gonna actually display it a little bit differently. Okay, we're gonna display the date. So we're gonna display sort of a calendar with date and month. Okay, and so we're gonna get the day, date, and month, these three shown in the calendar. Okay, so first thing we're gonna need is an entry, so something called timeline entry. Okay, so we will create a timeline entry class. So let me save this, and we're gonna create a new file, and this is gonna be a Swift file, and we're gonna simply say this one is going to be called simple widget entry. Okay, so this is sort of your model. Okay, I mean, this can have like another model if your object become complex, which is gonna be in the next widget we're gonna create a little bit more complex widget where it's gonna have its own model. But for this widget we're not gonna need much because we are still trying to, like, learn about basics of widget. Okay, so you're gonna name it, make sure like it's your simple widget where it's going. Group, make sure it's actually selected by default as whichever folder you're putting in, and then you have target selection as simple widget extension. Okay, so go ahead and create that right there, and then import, we're going to change it to widget kit. Okay, and we also going to import SwiftUI. All right, now we're going to create our struct. You're going to call this one simple widget entry timeline entry. Okay, so this is basically going to be the content provider for your widget, and we only need date for now, so we're going to say let date is of type date. Okay, so that's going to be your model. Next thing you're going to need is basically so let's create a timeline. So I'm going to go and create a new file, and we're going to call this a timeline. And the way widget works is basically it creates these timelines where regular updates happen. So it's sort of like Apple actually described in their WWDC 20 demo, is sort of like watch how watchOS schedules its updates. So it basically schedules its updates on timeline, where, like, you define your entries to be 1, 2, and 3. This is time, and when first timeline expires, second entry becomes active. When second entry expires, third entry becomes active, and then once third entry is about to expire, that's when update is called and more timelines are created. And you can create as many entities as you want for this timeline, and basically they're all gonna execute one after other, and when they are expired, based on the policy that you have defined for the execution, it can actually update the timeline depending upon that. Okay, so that same timeline sort of concept applies here as well. And so we're gonna say import widget kit, and we're gonna actually create that timeline here. Okay, so to create timeline, it's very simple. We're gonna name this struct as simple widget timeline, and this is gonna be timeline provider. Okay, and timeline provider takes an entry type, so it's a type alias entry type. Okay, and this is your entry that you have created. So simple widget entry, that's going to be the type. Now next, it requires two functions to be implemented. First one is snapshot. Okay, and this snapshot is basically this guy right here. When you open the widget gallery, you see these values, right? These are called snapshot. These are this data can be fetched from server. This can be a real data, or you can actually create a fake entry like batteries does, I think. Let me see if batteries has. Yeah, so there you go. You see this fake keyboard and all these things. This can be like, you know, something that you can create. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a fake entry for us. So I'm gonna just dismiss all this and click done. And for snapshot, we're gonna simply say let entry is equal to simple widget entry. And this one takes date, so it should actually, yeah, there we go. And we're gonna supply the current date like so. Okay, and now we're gonna simply call completion with entry. Okay, so this is basically gonna create that snapshot for us. Next up is basically the actual timeline, and we're gonna choose the timeline with context and completion. I mean, if you look at it, both of them are same. I don't know, it could be a bug. But var entries. So this is where, remember we talked about those whole bunch of entries in the timeline, each entry providing one instance, and you can have like, you know, basically these entries, you can have them line up. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a collection of entries. So simple widget entry collection, and we're gonna initialize with empty array, and then we're gonna put a for loop. So before for loop, let's get the current date. So current date, and this is gonna be date like so. So what we're gonna do is now we're gonna generate the timeline. Okay, so to generate the timeline, you can simply say day offset, and it's just a loop of like, you know, 7 days of timeline that we are creating, timeline entries. And we're gonna simply say first compute entry date. Okay, entry date is gonna be calendar. So we're going to choose the calendar.current date, and we need the overload that actually takes by adding value and 2. Okay, so let's look for by adding value and 2. Okay, and we're gonna say we want to add value is by adding day. How much value? 1. So 1 day to each value, right? Or you can say day offset. So what we're going to do is we're going to create entry date from today. So today, next day, so 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay, so 0th day is going to start today. Okay, and then we're going to say current date. All right, I'm going to force unwrap this. That is fine. That value is never going to be nil. But if you feel unsafe about it, go ahead and unwrap it with if let or something. Then we're going to create our entry, and entry is going to be of type simple widget entry once again. Okay, and this takes date, and we're going to provide this as entry date that we just created right here. Okay, so that is our entry that is created. Now we're gonna append this to our entries. So entries.append entry, like that. Okay, so this collection is gonna have basically collection of all these entries for 7-day worth of timeline that is created for us. And then we're gonna simply create timeline with help of timeline, and we're gonna supply entry, and entry is gonna be entries. It takes a collection, so we're gonna say entries, and this is a policy that we are talking about. So when your entries are about to expire, that's when this policy is gonna get triggered. So we are going to say when you reach to the last timeline, right? So once again, this is your timeline right? And your entries are like passing and your timelines are expiring, or your entries are expiring in the timeline, and then you reach the last one. When this is about to expire, that's when your timeline is gonna get filled with 7 more entries, like that. Okay, so you are simply gonna say at end right here. Okay, and then we can say completion, and this is where we're gonna supply the timeline back. So this is your timeline provider. Okay, and then let's go ahead and create our main entry point for the widget, so we know what all components we're gonna need. So go back to the simple widget.swift file, and we're gonna import widget kit, import SwiftUI, and we're gonna decorate this function or like this struct with main. Okay, this is going to be the main entry point for your widget. Now, one thing I'll show you in a minute that you have to keep in mind is the membership. So let me get this simple widget created, widget, and I'm gonna create kind. So this is simply a string, and you can put like kind as a struct name, and then body. Okay, and body is of type some widget configuration. Now this takes 2 types of configuration. There's intent configuration, there is static configuration. So we are interested in static configuration. Okay, and this provides, so as you can see, like there's this deprecated method. We're going to use this one because Apple is still working on this new one that's coming up. Okay, so I saw some of the issues like when I was working with the other one, so that's why I would suggest and recommend that you work on the deprecated one until the new beta comes out. So this is basically the timeline provider that you created. So you're going to simply say simple for the provider is going to be simple timeline, simple widget timeline. There we go. Okay, now the placeholder view we need to create, in entry we need to create, those 2 things we need to create. Okay, so we're going to create those next, but before that, let me show you something. So one thing that you need to keep in mind is that because you have this this file that has main in it, and you have this this file that is actually the simple app file in new project is called, it's also decorated with main. These 2 cannot be like this. So this file cannot have like target membership for both, and this file, the main entry files, cannot have target membership for both. What's going to happen is if you leave that checked, or by default if it gets checked like by mistake, then what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing some compiler linker errors that there's a duplicate main. It does not tell you where it is. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but you need to be sure that wherever your main is, your basically target membership is selected to that particular target area only. So this simple widget is basically the main launch or entry point for widget, so make sure it has target membership for widget extension only. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and create our next item, which is the placeholder view. So placeholder view is little simple. I mean, it's very simple. We just create a new file, and we select SwiftUI view template here, and we're gonna call this one placeholder view, like that. And now here we are simply going to say some placeholder, just say placeholder. And this is a new addition that Apple has actually added. It's called redacted, and redacted has this placeholder, so it's gonna show a redacted line until your view loads. Okay, so if it's loading, then it's gonna show this redacted line for the placeholder. Okay, so that's actually gonna create that. So that's our placeholder. So let's go ahead and provide that placeholder view like that. Now next thing we need is content. Now content is actually given for the entry. So entry is going to be coming from the timeline. So this is where the widget kit is going to basically provide you a timeline, right? An entry for the timeline that your view can display. Okay, so what you need to do is go to your view, create a new file, and this is where we're going to create our view for our timeline, or sorry, an entry. Too many timelines. Simple widget entry view. Okay, now for the entry view, it's going to be simple SwiftUI view. So we are going to be expecting our widget to provide the entry. So we're going to say let entry simple widget entry. Okay, and we have that information now, so we can start designing our view. So we're going to create a simple Z stack here, and in Z stack we're going to have a V stack with some spacing. Okay, and it's going to have a text which is going to be showing month. So we're going to create a helper function for that. Let's go ahead and just type month for now. Let's make it bold and give it a foreground color of white. Then add some padding to it, and padding is basically going to be on the horizontal side with 20 points, and background with rectangle, color dot red. Okay, then we're gonna have day, so we're gonna show the day like that, and let's leave everything default. Next text is gonna be the date, and we're gonna give it a font large title like so. Okay, for the whole thing we're gonna give it a background, and this background is gonna be a rectangle with fill, and we're gonna create a color. So I'm gonna actually paste a color literal. So let me see if I can get that. Okay, so let me get the color literal, and it's going to be this one right here, and this is actually slight. So this is the Xcode EB for this color. Okay, and it's slightly sort of like off-white, so I'm going to remove the preview section, and next we're going to add some padding, about 20 points of padding. Let's give a circle clip shape circle. Okay, and then let's add some shadow, and we're going to use the other overload. Color is going to be gray, radius is going to be 5, x is going to be 5, and y is going to be 5. Okay, and we want to make edges ignore safe area dot all. All right, now let's create some functions to populate these month, date, and day values. So we're gonna say private func get day, this returns a string, All right, and we're gonna simply return date formatter dot string from entry dot date. Now you can actually create just one function to return all these three based on switch statement, but to keep things simple, I'm gonna copy and paste, and basically gonna return three different values. So date, and this is gonna be month. Okay, and we are simply going to say get month, get day, and get date. Okay, so that is our entire view that we have created. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our widget, and here we are simply going to say we have an entry. We're gonna call single or simple widget entry view, and we're going to supply our entry that's been passed by the configuration to us. Okay, so what that's going to do is whatever your view has given, your static configuration has given, that's been supplied, and this data we're going to use to basically populate our view right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this and see if we've got everything, and ignore this warning for now, like I said, and let's go ahead and try this widget out and see what we get. So we have our placeholder view, I think. So one thing that you're gonna notice, there's another bug that the placeholder view does not update sometimes. So what it does is basically it does not show you a placeholder. It still will show you like the old placeholder view, and that actually is something that I figured, like, you know, sometime if you remove everything, so let's say if you remove your app and then come back, you're gonna notice that it's actually gonna, sometimes it fixes that. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if it fixes this issue. Okay, so let me go ahead and relaunch, and no, it's still cached. So one more thing I found is, like, you know, you might have to reset your content, and then it'll actually reflect the changes, but yeah, anyways, we have a little bit issue. Our text is a little bit more bold than we want. Padding, maybe can reduce this, the padding around it, and yeah, okay. And anyways, that's the layout issue. We can figure it out. Let me show you what the other widget families look like. So let's load this, and I'll actually hold and show you all the other widget families. Okay, so our widget is not showing up. That's okay. All right, I'm gonna actually leave this 20. I'm not gonna try to, maybe. Okay, let's go and run this again. All right, so it's building now. Okay, and we have our widget loading, still waiting. Okay, as you can guess, like, you know, it's running a little bit slow, but yeah, there we go. And now if I hold and add widget, there we go, it's now showing up. So I'm gonna click on it, and these are our other widget families, as you can see, right? So if you add, although it looks like, there's a lot of space that's been wasted here, where like, you're just showing one cell. But that's okay. Like, we can work with that and create new widgets that are going to show you more details, stuff like that. And you're also going to learn how you can control your widgets to not show so let's say if you just want to show, if let's say you built a widget just for this single purpose, like small area, then you only show it for a small area. You don't show it for medium or large for that particular widget. Okay, so you can control that too, and that's actually going to be something that we're going to be covering very soon. Okay, but congratulations, you have created your very first widget, and yeah, you learned, hopefully you learned a thing or two along the way. So in the next video we're gonna create another widget and explore a bit more about our widget kit. So we are going to basically try to create a weather widget, and in the weather widget what we're going to do is we are going to actually call different APIs, external APIs, and you're gonna see how you can make networking calls and everything in that widget to download data and display on your widget, and how it can refresh automatically based on different times that you can provide. You can schedule those updates and stuff like that as well. Okay, so that's going to be coming up next. Okay, so thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys in next video. Thank you. Hello and welcome back, and in this video we are going to be creating a simple weather widget. And in this widget what we're going to do is we're going to download some weather data from internet, and I'm going to use this API called api.lilsoftware /weather. Reason I'm using this one because this is like, really simple API that takes your latitude and longitude, and it gives you forecast for next few days. Okay, so this is perfect for example, but you can choose open weather map or any other API that you want to use for your purpose. Now the best part about this API is it does not require any API key or anything like that. You simply go to this api.lilsoftware, api.lil/software/weather, and give your latitude and longitude, and then you get your data. Okay, so that's actually what we're going to be using. So let me keep this aside, and let's go ahead and get to our project. So I have sample project created, and it does not have widget created yet. So let's go ahead and add a new widget into this. So add new target, and we're going to choose our widget extension target here, and we're going to call this weather widget. Okay, and hit create, activate, and now we are going to create some folders first. Okay, so I wanted to create folder without I only want to create like a virtual folder structure. Okay, so let's create virtual folder structure. So app, and then you have views, you have models, and we're gonna need services. So we're gonna need one service that's gonna download, and you might need some utils. Okay, so let's go with these, and widget for sure. All the widget related stuff is gonna go in here. Okay, next up we're gonna move our app related things in here and widget into the widget. Okay, but we're gonna delete all the content that we have. Okay, but before we do that, let's go ahead and start creating some of the models and stuff. So first thing we're gonna create is a weather model. Okay, so I'm gonna select model folder and add a new file, select Swift file, click next, create, call it weather, make sure the target membership is extensions, widget extension, okay, and then create. All right, next up, we're gonna create a struct. This struct is gonna be called weather. It's gonna be codable or conforming to codable protocol, and we need name, and we need everything that is there as a key for this API. So I'm gonna take temperature. It's I think it's listed as int. We'll see. And then next is our unit, that is as string. By the way, this API only gives you weather for United States. I think this is listed on their website. That's only available for US. The API is available for throughout the globe, but latitude and longitude information is considered only for US. Okay, so we have all these coding keys created, and that actually is our complete model. Okay, so basically with this model created, let's go ahead and create a model or our entry file. So we're gonna go into models once again. Yeah, that's also a model, and we will create a weather entry, and once again choose Swift file, weather entry, and gonna import widget kit. Okay, and we might need SwiftUI, so just import it in case. Struct, let's create a struct, and this struct is going to be called weather entry. It's going to be of type timeline entry, and then it takes it has two things. It has public let date, okay, and public let weather. All right, so those two things are going to be there. Now this is our complete entry. So remember in the last video we talked about having a more complex example or more complex model for our entry, and this is it. So our timeline, we expect it to provide not only the date, but we also expect it to provide the weather object, okay, and weather is actually something that we're gonna so weather is something that we're gonna get from our API. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next, which is going to be the service. So we need to create a service that's going to download this weather information. Okay, so what we're going to do is go to services and create a new file called weather services, or weather service. Okay, and here we're gonna import SwiftUI because it's gonna also include the UI kit stuff and URL session and stuff like that. Not UI kit, sorry, URL session and stuff. Yep, and foundation. So class, we're gonna create weather service. Okay, and this class is gonna have URL, and this URL is going to be that URL that we've been looking for little software. So let me go ahead and copy that and paste it here. There we go. Okay, so that is the URL that we're going to be working off of or downloading data, and we're going to create a function get weather, and this is going to be this is going to have a completion block. So completion block is going to be escaping, and it's going to provide result. Now result type is going to be an array of weather or error if it fails. Not error, second parameter is going to be result, second parameter is going to be error. Okay, all right. Did we close all parentheses properly? Okay, I think we did. Okay. Yeah, I wonder why it's actually suggesting me to do this. I'm sure I'm missing something. What am I missing? Okay, well, so we have a result type weather. Okay. Yeah. This is very strange. Okay, so I'm actually okay. Let me do something. Till that time, maybe I'll trigger. So I'm gonna create a URL directly like that, and I'm gonna say that hey, you have this, and I want to close this class right here. So I have a class and I have a function within the class, and okay, I'm gonna start typing URL session. Oh, come on, Xcode. Expect and open. Aha. Okay, that is what's wrong, and I'm just being stupid here. Okay. Yeah, I knew, like, there was something wrong here. URL session. Okay, so URL session dot shared dot data task. Okay, with URL. So URL we have already created right here, and this actually gives us three things: data, response, and error in. Okay, so we get that. We actually check for really quickly. Guard error should be nil, otherwise we are simply going to say completion dot failure with error. Okay, and return. All right, otherwise we're going to say completion dot success. Okay, and we're gonna parse our weather response with private function get weather response from data that returns an array of weather. Okay, and here we're gonna get our weather data. Now we are going to need a weather response object. Okay, and weather response object is basically the response that's been sent to us. So if you look at the API one more time, so let me pull up the API actually sends you an array of values in a key called forecast. Okay, so that is our response. So we don't get directly an array, we get a key value pair there where we have key as forecast and value as an array. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are simply going to create a response model, and we're gonna use that to decode weather response. Okay, and here we are simply gonna say struct weather response, and this is gonna conform to codable forecast. So this should be exactly same as the key, unless you want to deal with unless you want to deal with coding keys and stuff like that, which I don't want to right now. So I'm simply gonna copy and paste, and it's gonna have a type value is gonna be of type an array of weather. Okay, now this gives us an opportunity to basically directly parse that data using JSON decoder. So we are simply gonna say weather data is equal to try JSON decoder dot decode. Okay, and we're gonna decode the weather response. So we're gonna simply say weather response dot self, like that, and data is gonna be the data that's being supplied to us, and we're gonna simply say if let weather is equal to weather data, maybe other d. Okay, then we're gonna simply return weather dot or weather d dot forecast. Okay, otherwise we're gonna return an empty array, not empty array actually. Let's create a empty weather, and we're gonna simply say error, temperature is 0, no description, no unit, and description is going to be error as well. That way we know, like, that something bad happened. Okay, for success we're simply gonna say then elf dot get weather response, and get weather response is gonna take data. Okay, and I'm gonna force unwrap it because we have it. Well, you can try to do it safely. I'm just gonna leave it out just for the tutorial sake, but you can do if let and guard let and stuff like that, and please do it. Okay, okay, so with that our service is done. All right, so we've got our service, and now we are getting our weather data, our entries created, our model is created. So let's go ahead and create our widget first. So we actually get our all the components put together. So widget is gonna start telling us, like, what are the things that it needs. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually remove all this. Okay, yeah, okay, and then we're gonna say at main. First thing or next thing I'm going to check is target membership. It's very important. Struct weather widget, and this is going to be once again widget, and we're gonna create private kind string. Okay, private var kind string, like that, and this is gonna be weather widget. All right, okay, next up is gonna be body with widget configuration. We're gonna once again say static configuration, this one right here, and we're gonna choose the second overload, the one that has strike through in it. If you're using beta 3, if you're using beta 2, this still works fine. Okay, there's only one, there's no overload, there's only one static configuration. Okay, next thing we need is a timeline. So let's go ahead and create our timeline. So we are going to create a new file, and let's go ahead and select Swift file, widget timeline, like that. And this widget timeline is gonna have our widget related timeline related information. So widget kit import SwiftUI. Okay, and we're gonna create our struct. Why did I call it widget timeline? I don't know why. It should be weather timeline. Okay, for the timeline, there we go. All right, let's call it weather timeline, and this is going to be timeline provider. Okay, and once again entry, so let's give type alias entry to weather entry, which we already have, right? And next is snapshot. Our snapshot gives us basically the this is basically just a sample data sort of thing. So let's create entry, and this entry is going to be weather entry, and we're going to simply say date, and for weather we are going to say SF 67, very common, Fahrenheit, and description maybe cloudy, which always is. Okay, then we're gonna simply call completion and entry. There we go. All right, so that's our snapshot. Then we're gonna create our timeline. Okay, and the timeline is gonna have current date. Do it slightly differently in this time than the last video. So we're gonna get the current date, we're gonna create refresh date, and we're gonna use this refresh date to refresh our timeline entry or our widget. Calendar.current.date by adding, and we're gonna add minute. Okay, and we're gonna add 15-minute. Okay, and date is gonna be the current date, 15-minute to current date. Okay, next up we are going to basically call our weather service dot get weather completion. Okay, we get our result. Okay, and we can simply say if case dot success let fetch data is equal to result. All right, and here we are simply gonna say weather is equal to, and we should create a weather object. So let weather of type weather, like that, and weather is going to be fetch object dot first. We need first from the returned result. Why is that? Because we are going to be getting a whole bunch of response. It's an array, remember, for our single entry or small widget. We're gonna just show one day's forecast. So first entry that's the current weather forecast. That's what we're gonna show. Okay, and we're gonna come back and basically modify this widget to have more information later on in the next video. But for now we are simply gonna say take the first entry, else it is going to be weather is equal to weather with name, and this is where the error case is. So we could not fetch the weather, so that's why we're gonna say error getting weather info, like that. Okay, all right, so that's good. Okay, now let's create our weather entry. Okay, and now remember, this is all happening within the completion block because we have access to our weather here. So we're going to simply create our entry now, weather entry, and date is going to be the current date, and weather is going to be the weather that we have extracted from our service. And then we're going to create our timeline like so. And entries is going to have an array which is going to have just one value. Entry policy, this is new, and this is going to be after date refresh date. Okay, this is how you can schedule to refresh your widget at certain time. Okay, you can, that what we are saying here is like whenever there's 15 minutes past to the current time, then update the widget, then next 15, then next 15, like that. Okay, and last thing is call completion with the timeline. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and build it. And yes, we know that we need to update those, so that's what we are working for. Weather timeline is going to be our provider. Next up is our placeholder. Okay, so for the placeholder, what we can do is can create our placeholder view. So let me go ahead and create our go to our views. Do we have views? Yeah, we have views. Okay, create a new file, and we will select SwiftUI view, placeholder view, like that. Okay, and this placeholder view is gonna be a Z stack, and inside the Z stack we are gonna just say take some color. So I'm gonna use color literal, maybe color literal, like that, and let's select something off white. Maybe this one is okay. Yeah, okay. And then we're gonna have a VStack, and this is something that you can use if you want to create your own redacted version. And I'm gonna just show you how you can create your own preview with your own redacted version. All you need is a whole bunch of rounded rectangles. So I'm gonna create rounded rectangle with corner radius 10.fill, and the fill is gonna have color.white, and frame is gonna be width about 80, 20, and we don't care about alignment, so take center default alignment. And I'm gonna take this and copy paste 3 times, like that. Okay, and we're gonna add some padding, and I'm gonna say edges ignoring safe area all, like that. Okay, so that is our placeholder view, and let's go to our widget and tell it that we have a placeholder view for you. Now next up is content. So we get the entry once again, and this time it's going to be weather entry, and we need to create the weather entry here. So for weather entry, we can actually need some we might need some date extensions and stuff, so we'll see. Okay, not weather entry, sorry, weather entry view is what we need. Okay, so let's go ahead and create weather view. SwiftUI view, weather view, or weather entry view, like that. Okay, and we can expect entry. All right. Next up is basically we're gonna create our, so let's create our base color. So let me copy the base color from placeholder, and make it as base color. Now let's make it private because we don't need to expose that one. And next is going to be a Z stack, which is going to have that base color. Okay, and then we're going to have our V stack. This V stack is going to have text, which is gonna be, so these coordinates are from San Francisco. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hardcode this, and in your API, if you're using somewhere else's API, like Open Weather Map or something, and you have a city, that city actually is part of the response that you get. So you can improve upon this example, but I'm gonna actually simply show you how, the intent for this video is to show you how you can call APIs using URL session and show some data on the widgets itself. Okay, so that's why I'm using this little software API, which is like very minimal in nature. What we're gonna do here is we get our entry. So entry has information about our weather because we created that inside, and inside the weather we have information about our temperature. So we're gonna take that temperature, and then I'm gonna click Control Command Space to search for degree symbol, this one right here, and gonna select that so I can insert that here. And then we're gonna ask entry to give us unit. Okay, so that's gonna be Fahrenheit. All right, and then we are gonna say for this one is large title, so the weather temperature is in large title. Okay, next up is our text. So we're gonna show our weather condition using this helper function. So let's create helper function, and once again, because the API is minimal, it doesn't give you much, so we are just improvising weather icon. So I'm gonna create a condition string, and condition string is going to be supplied by the weather response, and depending upon what it has, we're gonna return some sort of response. So let me copy and paste that, okay, from my sample project that I created that has this information already, so you don't see me typing all these unrelated things. Okay, so I'm gonna simply uncomment this one, and all we are doing here is we are getting the current condition. Okay, and from that current condition, what we are telling it is that if you find, if that current condition contains partially sunny, then show this icon, cloudy, then show cloud, drizzle, then show this, and stuff like that. Okay, so that's what this is. It's simply getting a weather based on the conditions text. So we can simply say get condition weather condition icon for condition text, and condition text is coming inside. Actually, it's a string, so entry dot weather dot description. Okay, so description gives us that icon, or basically that description gives us that string that actually can be like created as an icon. So we're gonna get that by just pattern matching. Okay, what I'm going to do is padding as top with 10, and then next text is going to be weather dot description. Okay, and font is going to be footnote, like that. And we are also going to have an h stack here, and this h stack is going to have a spacer first, so we're going to show when the weather was updated, and it's going to have a text updated at, so, or updated, right? And you're simply going to say entry dot date dot time only, and we're gonna create this as an extension for date. So utils, let's create a new file, and this file is gonna be a Swift file, date plus extensions, like that. Okay, and here we are simply gonna create extension on date, which is gonna say time only, and it's gonna give us a string, let from date itself so we're gonna say date format is equal to, we need hour, minute, and AM PM. Okay, and we're gonna simply return formatter dot string from date. Okay, which is self. Okay, next is let's go back, and time only should be available now. There we go. Okay, so that actually gives us just the time value when the weather was updated, right? And all we need to do is set the font for this. So I'm going to say font system size 12 points, and let's give this a foreground color, color dot gray dot opacity maybe 0.5. Let's try that. Okay, all right, and we're gonna give our stack some padding. Okay, and stack edges ignoring safe area. Okay, let's go ahead and build this and see we are getting any issue. Yes, we are, so I'm going to remove that. Okay, so let's see. Okay, entry, yes. So now it's time to show our entry, and this entry is basically your weather entry that we have created, the view weather entry view that actually takes an entry which is weather entry, and our supply type by the static configuration is also a weather entry like we discussed. Okay, so that is basically our widget. Now there are a couple of more things that I want to provide. First of all, you can provide a display name. So configuration display name actually changes the name of the widget. So if you look at the old widget, it had let's see, it had this simple widget extension kind of like name, right? We want to provide a much more user-friendly name. Okay, so for that what we're going to do is we're going to provide a friendly name, SF weather widget, like that. Okay, and we can also provide a description, and we say this widget displays like that. Okay, all right, so now this is basically your little bit of configuration information. Now you can also limit this and say supported family. Now this takes an array, and we're gonna say we only want to support system small. This is how you filter out. You say, like, you know, how in this widget you had, like, you know, 3 different widgets being present, but like there was so much space and it looks kind of odd, like, you know, all the empty space. Well, in our new widget, we're gonna say, like, you know, that we only have small widget. We only show a small widget. Okay, let's go ahead and run this and see if once again, it's launching on iPod Touch. So let me change that device, and we are going to see it in our XS Max or 11 Pro Max. Okay, so it's installing now, and our widget should have been created. Okay, there we go. So this is our preview that we created, and our weather data is, I don't know if it's being downloaded, but let's see. Let me remove this and let me add a new widget. As you can see, weather widget, and there you go. This is what we show, SF weather widget. This is our description, and this is our name, and this is the description that we have. And if you notice, there's no other widget, so we cannot scroll anywhere, right? I'm trying to scroll, but I cannot scroll anywhere because there's only this kind of widget that's available. We only support that family. Okay, next up is there's something going on in the in this, and I think we forgot to call resume. That's my bad. Let's go ahead and try it again and see if we get the weather information. Go ahead and build it again, and build succeeded. And hopefully we're gonna get our weather information. Okay, there we go. Some error. Okay, so that might be, that's actually something that you might encounter where your API can throw. I've seen, like, sometimes API throws an error, but if we get, like, okay, second time it worked. There we go. So this is our weather, and as San Francisco is 62 degrees. It's mostly sunny. It's gonna be mostly sunny, and then it's actually the time that's given is updated at 8:04 a.m. Okay, and if you keep looking, like, just keep an eye on it. In 15-20 minutes it's gonna update. Now this is one thing that I want to actually mention as well, that your widget can request to be updated. It cannot enforce that, hey, I need to be updated, like, after 15 minutes, so it's absolute 15 minutes. No, that does not work. System actually prioritize your widget update time based on all the other values there are, or all the other widgets, or all the other operations that it's waiting on. So it's going to put your request in the queue and going to process it, but depending upon its priority. Okay, you can change that relevance by providing a relevance score, and that is actually simple. And you can simply go to your entry, and you can say relevance, and here you can basically simply return a relevance value. So you can say return relevance timeline entry relevance, and they can give it a score, and this score can be between 1 and 100, right? Where 50 is, like, your widget is, this update is somewhat important, and 100 is, like, very important, kind of like that. So I'm going to give it 50, but still it does not guarantee that it's going to be prioritized. So your widget is going to get updated relative to that time that you have provided, but it's not going to be absolute time. Okay, I've rarely seen the where it's absolute time, and I've tried, like, a whole bunch of widgets, and every single time it's more than what we provide. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And with that, our simple weather widget is created. As you can see, this example was a little bit more involved. We did a lot more things in this, and we learned about, like, widget families and stuff like that. In the next video, we are going to be expanding upon this widget and gonna create different variations for, like, for these families, we're going to create another widget that's going to be still the weather widget. It's going to be for medium size, and then there's going to be large size, but they're all going to support different views. They can have different views and different kind of information filling the entire space that has been given to us. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing in the next video. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hello and welcome back, and in this video we're going to be looking at supporting different families for the weather widget that we created in last video. Okay, so if you haven't checked it out, please check it out before continuing, because we're going to build up on that example. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So if you remember, in the last video we created and we added this widget family in the widget itself right here, supported family. So I'm going to remove this, because what we want to do is we want to make our widget available for all three families that there are, like small, medium, and large. Okay, and we want to provide different UI for different family to support, basically. So because there's different real estate that's available, like the space that is available for those widgets to show is different and varies for each family. Okay, so in order to do that, we have to do some setup work. We have to actually update our weather widget somehow to support multiple different things. So let's go ahead and get that work going first. Okay, so we're gonna start changing things one by one, and that's actually gonna get us ready for supporting multiple families. Okay, so first thing we're gonna change is gonna be the weather entry. And if you go in weather entry, currently our entry only supports a single weather. Now what we are anticipating is an array of weather information. So we're gonna simply change this to be weather info and an array of weather. Okay, and that's the only change that we're gonna need here. Now it's gonna start crashing other places because every other place expects a weather but not a weather entry. So that is fine. We can actually fix that relatively quickly. So no change in services or anything. Now let's change our timeline. So let's jump onto the timeline here, right there. Okay, so our timeline is gonna have this weather entry that's gonna receive, and for the snapshot, right, snapshot is something that we're gonna have to adjust. So we're gonna create maybe weather snap, and here we are simply gonna say it's an array of weather object. Okay, and I'm gonna simply take this and create a for each loop. So for loop I in 0 to 9. Okay, and I'm gonna say weather snap dot append and paste that. Okay, so we're gonna create like about 10 dummy records. Okay, now that is a weather entry. We don't need weather entry, we just need the weather. Okay, so about 10 weather dummy records, and then for our entry we're gonna say weather entry, and it's gonna take date, so we're still gonna supply our current date for that, and this takes the weather array which we already created with weather snap, so we can just take that and supply that, and completion is still gonna return that entry. Okay, now what this is gonna say is basically I is not being used. So let's do this. Let's say for the name SF day, I, and I'm gonna say day I, so day 1, day 0, day 1, day 2, kind of like that. And here, just to provide some sort of variation. I'm gonna say 10 times I. It's gonna be the temperature it's gonna produce, and description is gonna be cloudy, so that's fine. Okay, so that's our snapshot. Next up is our timeline. So our timeline is gonna have same, so current value and refresh is not gonna change. Okay, and weather service dot get weather, this gets our result, and here instead of this we're gonna say weather info. Okay, and convert this into an array of weather. All right, and here we're gonna say case we get this, and we say just weather info is equal to fetch data, like that. Okay, so we get the full array of weather info, and for the else case, we can say weather info. All right, and I'm gonna create an error weather, so let error weather. So there was an error, and we just want to show, and you can basically show some other information if you want to. I am simply gonna say maybe SF, and temperature is maybe -1 or 0, yeah, and Fahrenheit, and description is gonna be error, like that, or error getting info. Oh, we already have the, I should actually copy this or cut this and paste it here. Okay, and for the weather info we're gonna simply pass this. So let's do error weather, error weather, like twice. Okay, okay, so next do we need to change? We do need to change this to weather info, and for the refresh date and everything, it's gonna be same. Yeah, this is called weather info now. Okay, anything else? Okay, so I think that's good. Okay, so next up we have some more errors, so we're gonna handle those. Let's create so go to our view, entry view, and let's move this into its own utility, so we can call this as we need. So we can call this, hey, create a new file, and call this file weather util. Okay, and I'm going to take SwiftUI in case we need it, and basically gonna just cut from here and paste it there in weather utils. Okay, so yeah, and let's put it in a struct. Like that, and make it static. Okay, all right, so our timeline is changed. Let's change our weather view. Now weather view is where we're gonna need the most change, because we are supporting different families now. Okay, so the easiest thing, I guess we can create another private let for dark color, so we're gonna need a dark color, and I'm gonna rely on, let's take this, copy and paste, and I'm gonna select this and select this color, a little bit dark color. Okay, all right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually remove all this so we can write it again. Okay, so weather entry we get, all right, and what we need is basically some way to determine which family we are rendering from for. Okay, so that can be easily solved with the environment variable, because environment now includes a widget family. So environment, and if you push slash dot and type widget family, you still don't get the Xcode support, autocomplete support for it, but we're simply gonna say family here and it's gonna recognize that. Okay, I guess we can actually jump. So there we go. Environment values dot getter dot widget family. It actually gives you family for widget kit. Okay, now with that information being available, we can simply create a switch statement here, and that switch statement can be on family. Like so. Okay, now we get the three variations: system small. As you can see, Xcode crashed right there, but that's okay. So we get system small, and when we get system small, we want to show a weather view. So let me create some more helper views, and that way, like, we can start using those helper views. So let's create a SwiftUI view, and this one is, first one is going to be called daily weather. So daily weather view. Okay, and for the daily weather view, we are simply gonna say it expects a weather object, and for the body it says I have a VStack with alignment. Okay, and we have a text. Weather dot name dot lowercase. Okay, so basically in the name, in the API, we get night value as well. So I'm gonna simply say if it contains value night, right, then I wanna use just 3 prefix. So I want to use weather dot name dot prefix of 2 characters maybe, and append that with a moon symbol. So moon, this right here. So this one we can use. Okay, and so I'm going to just double click on it, and there we go. Okay, so that is going to show for the night, and if it's just regular, then we're gonna simply say weather dot name dot prefix 3. Okay, next up is our text for temperature. So for the temperature, it's gonna be weather dot temperature and our Fahrenheit symbol. Okay, so our degree symbol, sorry, degrees, and then you have the actual temperature, weather, sorry, the unit. Okay, so you have unit, and then next up is another text, and we're gonna leverage our weather utils here dot get weather icon for weather dot description. Okay, and we're gonna add some padding, top of 10 points, and we're gonna give the overall thing padding as well. Okay, I'm gonna remove this preview section, and let's go ahead and create another view, and this view is gonna be weather view. So these are just sort of like our cells, basically, that we're gonna render our information in. So this one is going to be called weather view. Okay, and this takes two values, weather and updated date type. Okay, next we're gonna create a VStack with alignment as leading. And then we're going to display all of our weather information. So city name, current weather information. So I'm going to take this guy right here and paste it here. Okay, and we're going to change its font to be large title. Okay, and then we're going to get our icon. So let's go ahead and grab this here and paste it here for the icon, and then description. Gonna set its font to footnote. Then Hstack, which is going to have the spacer, and this is where we're gonna show when this was updated. For the font, we're gonna say system width size is 12, and the foreground color is gonna be color dot gray dot opacity 0.6 or 0.8 maybe. While we were doing this, notice that I don't know if you can see, but like, you know, it's barely visible, but 8/19 was the last time when this weather widget was updated. Okay, so it's actually so when you define these timelines, it actually automatically triggers and refresh your widget. Now this information is sort of like static because it's like receiving the same value of every 15 minutes. You might have a different case. You, like, you know, request a stock price change for particular stock, and you would see that update more often throughout the day. So you can experiment with that too. Okay, all right, so let's keep moving forward. We have so we can get some padding going here, and that's about it for our weather view. Okay, so let's go back to our main entry view. Okay, and for the small case, we're gonna create a Z stack. Okay, inside this Z stack, we're gonna have the base color first of all, and then we're gonna have our weather view, the newly created view, which expects two things. It expects a weather, so we're gonna simply say weather info. So weather info we are gonna get, or we can weather info is part of entry, so weather info at 0th index. Okay, and we can simply say entry dot date here. All right, for the updated, and we're gonna say edges ignoring safe area all for this one. All right, so that is our system small case. Okay, now next is our system medium. Okay, system medium, we're gonna display a Z stack, and it's gonna have an H stack, and I'm gonna mark the spacing to be 0, and gonna create two rectangles with base color and dark color. Okay, and on top we're gonna place our weather views. So weather view, so I'm gonna basically copy this guy right here, and I'm gonna say weather view, get the information from 0 and 1. Okay, so remember, this one is, we are showing medium for the medium size widget, and medium size has, like, it's more wide. So we can simply say you can have, like, 2 widgets showing, or 2 weather widgets showing side by side. Okay, so that's what we are doing. We are creating a stack and creating 2 different weather views right there. Okay, next, last one is system large family. Okay, and for the system large family, what we're going to do is going to create a V stack. Okay, and inside the V stack, I'm going to create a Z stack, H stack for the spacing, Xcode is crashing a lot, which is making it super slow to basically type, and that actually proves the dependency on autocomplete, as you can see. Dark color, there we go, and I'm gonna select these 2 right here and paste it. Okay, so that's going to be on the system large. We're going to show similar view as the medium, but top 2 are going to be large, and then underneath this Z stack, I'm going to create another V stack where we're going to show smaller info. Okay, for the daily view. So basically, daily weather widget has, like, smaller info with day and night symbol and stuff like that. So that's what we will actually do. Okay, we will show that one. So we're gonna say H stack, and I'm gonna call this one daily weather view, and daily weather view is gonna expect just the weather info. So we are already showing 0 and 1, so I'm going to show 2, okay, and 3. And as you can see, like, creating those these helper views helped us a lot. So I have V stack, H stack. Let's create another V stack. Inside this V stack, I'm going to create these 2, and I'll copy this and paste it, and paste it one more time, and one more time maybe. Okay, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so basically this is gonna have print out all 9 values, or you could have actually created it in a loop, but yeah, that's okay. So we have, like, let's see, this V stack is, hold it here, and this is the main the main V stack, and here after this VStack, we're gonna say default, and for the default, we're gonna simply say a ZStack. Okay, and this I learned that you have to actually provide, otherwise Xcode is gonna complain about it. And we're gonna simply say weather view, and this takes our entry dot weather info at 0th index and entry dot date, like that. Okay, edges ignoring safe area, all like that. Okay, all right. So that change, with that change, I think we should try to build and see if we have yeah, missing arguments. Okay, and this is gonna be the preview. So let's go ahead and build it again. Let's make sure that everything is up to date. We don't need to change anything else, I think. Okay, so it seems like spelling. So let me go ahead and okay, run this, and let's go ahead and take a look what we can what we get. So as soon as our weather started to show, or actually, you know what, yeah, it's loading. There we go. So we have our weather, and let's go ahead and add a new widget. So we're gonna open our widget example, weather example. As you can see, this is our first small case, and this is our second one, and we are definitely missing some info or some formatting issues. Like these needs to be white actually. So let me go ahead and go to our weather view. So let's go to our weather entry, and wherever we are using the dark color, right here, let's give it a foreground color as white and see if that actually fixes for the medium, and then we're gonna do same for all the others. Okay, so let it build, and I've noticed one thing as well, like, you know, between beta 2 and beta 3, that build process or building has been slow for beta 3. So whenever I build, it was much more faster in beta 2, so it has gone down for some reason. I don't expect it to go down. I expect things to go, like, you know, move in positive direction, but it could be something. We'll see when the next beta comes out. Okay, so let's go ahead and add the widget, and okay, that's actually perfect. And this is our third one. This is our the largest system large view, and as you can see, it's showing us a little bit more detail. And if you want to add the medium one as well, just for the completion's sake, go ahead and add that one too. There you go. Okay, and this one actually needs that foreground color as well. So let's go ahead and add that, and voila. Okay, I'm not gonna run it again, just because it's gonna take a little bit more time. But anyways, as you can see, like, you know, it's rather easy. We took several steps to actually accomplish this, but like if you go over this again, you can notice that it's actually rather easy to support all these different families by this approach. We had to actually refactor a lot of things, and that's why it took a little bit of time. But this is how you can actually create variations for of, like, you know, one widget for 3 different families that size that are supported in the widget kit. Now you can include multiple widgets into a single app right? Multiple different types, and that's actually called bundling, and we're gonna be looking at that example as well very soon. But for now, we are done with our weather widget. Okay, so what's gonna happen in next video is basically we will build an expense app. So we're gonna just build a sample expense widget. Okay, and in that expense widget, what we're gonna do is we'll just create a simple widget that's gonna show different different complexity of, like, widget, but it's gonna have configurability aspect. So basically you're gonna have a configuration, and you're gonna create intent definition, and that intent definition is basically gonna provide this long tab and edit configuration thing. So that widget is solely focused on how to make your widgets configurable, and how same widget with different configuration can live on your home screen, right? So we're gonna see all that in the next video, where we're gonna create this expense sample expense app, and we're gonna add different expense scenarios for our widget in that app. Okay, so I will see you guys in next video for that widget creation, and till that time, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy, and I will see you guys in next video. Hello and welcome back, and in this video we're going to be creating this expenses widget, and the intent for this video is to look at how you can create widgets that can have configuration options. So when you long press on a widget, it actually would show you a configuration option. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at in today's video. So let's go ahead and get started. So for this one, I have created this sample app, so I'm gonna add a new target here. So add new target, and we can select our widget extension, and we're gonna call this one expense widget. Okay, and let's go ahead and finish this, and we're gonna go into the folder. Now for this one, let's work on this existing file. I'm gonna start deleting stuff from this file and start replacing it with our own content. But we can work off of a single file. You already know how to structure, and this is gonna be rather simple. So let's focus on what's the main content that we want to cover. So first thing we can do is we want to provide that configuration option. The configuration option is provided by something called intent definition. So we need to create a file for intent definition, and if you go click add new file, you're gonna go ahead and search for intent definition. So get intent definition file, that's what we need. And target membership, make sure it is the widget extension, and we're gonna call this one expense intent definition, like that. Okay, now when the file is created, it's completely empty. So we're gonna create our intents here. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create an enum. This enum is gonna basically represent our intent value, okay, that we're gonna create. So let's create category. Okay, and this category is gonna have some values in it. So by default it is unknown, and we're gonna create a category that's gonna take values from 0 to 5. Okay, so first value we're gonna add is gonna be all, for all expenses. Okay, then we're gonna add maybe food for food expenses. So by the way, you can actually change the display name. All expenses, for example, all expense, food expenses, so 2. Okay, As you can see, it's automatically incrementing that, so that's actually perfect. Then we're gonna have our grocery, for example, and grocery value is gonna be grocery expenses. Then maybe gas and rent. Gas and rent. So okay, all right, so these 5 values that we're going to support, unknown is going to be 0, and then you can get all these other values. Okay, next up you're going to create an intent by creating new intent. Okay, and this one is going to be we're going to say view monthly expense. Okay, that's going to be the name. And for this expense, it's going to be category type view. Okay, so it's going to be information only. And we're going to make sure that we're going to say intent is eligible for widget, and we can uncheck all these other values. Intent is user configurable and by Siri shortcut and this Siri suggestion. Okay, next we're going to add parameter, and parameter is going to be our category. Okay, and it's going to be category display name is automatically going to change. Type is going to be our custom type category. It's just going to start showing up here. Now this is going to be so user can edit shortcuts, stuff like that, so we can leave that and we can check this one off. Okay, parameter, parent parameter is going to be none, and default value is going to be all expenses. Okay, one thing I just remember that I wanted to tell you guys was if you have created your project in Xcode 12 beta 2 or beta 1, and if you try to open that in beta 3, for me at least, it's actually crashing. So the best way to open it is open your project with regular Xcode. Maybe you have like Xcode 11, open your project with that. Okay, keep that open, and then open your Xcode 12 beta 3 or later on, whichever version you're using. What it's gonna do is it will try to map and take whatever you have open in existing Xcode and open that same project inside your beta. So that's how you can actually get away with it. It at least worked for me, so hopefully it's gonna work for you. Just wanted to give you a little tip if you're I was getting super annoyed with the fact that I couldn't open any of my projects, and I figured out, like, this trick by accident. Okay, so let's go to our expense widget now, and we're gonna start creating some objects. Okay, first object we need is the intent timeline provider. Okay, so we are going to create our own provider. So I'm gonna start removing or remove everything actually. So first we're gonna create our struct for provider intent timeline provider this time. So if you remember last time we created timeline provider, this time we are creating intent timeline provider because we're gonna provide configuration options. Okay, we're still gonna need entry, so it's gonna be public type alias entry, and let's take simple entry or something for now. Okay, simple entry is not created, I know, so let's go ahead and create that simple entry. I'm just gonna say struct maybe expense entry, we call it expense entry. It's gonna be timeline entry. Okay, and gonna have public let date of type date, public let category of type expense category. Category. Okay. Where's this expense category coming from? Well, we're going to create an enum for that. It's going to be of type int, which is going to map our values. Okay. So basically, we're going to create this expense category, and it's going to map the category that we created in an intent definition. Okay. So you're going to try to keep all the same values or similar values. There's going to be too much typing, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and change these to all food, because I want to provide a description in our enum as well. So what I'm going to do is going to keep it simple. So all food, and this sequence needs to be same. So all food, then grocery, because I want to actually use default enum values. So grocery is the third one, and I've initialized first one as 1, so other ones are going to just incremental values, or they're automatically going to increment. Then next up is gas and rent. So okay, and then we're going to provide a function for description, which is going to return a string. Switch on self, like so. Okay, so with that, all right, so with that we have all of our expense categories created, and our expense entry is created. So we're simply going to say expense entry here. Okay, and now let's see what else. Okay, so we need to get the category. So first we're going to create a function for category, and we're going to say it actually takes a configuration, which is view monthly expense intent, and returns an expense category. Okay, we're gonna once again put a switch statement here on config.category. So let me see if I can actually cannot find, yeah, I know, because okay, let's take a look. Let me comment this out, and let's create snapshot. So snapshot is not getting created. So let's build okay, yeah, okay, provider does not conform, so can we provide the snapshot, please? Okay, so snapshot is gonna be entry expense entry, and expense entry takes 2 values. So it takes a date and a category. So category is going to be expense category dot all just for now. Okay, and we're gonna come back and fix this. Completion is gonna be entry. Reason I'm doing this, so Xcode start to cooperate. View expense. See, there we go. Now it's actually working. Okay, so snapshot is good. Timeline, let's create that one. And now it looks like it's happy, so I can go back and create this category. So what we are doing here is we are creating a category, a mapping between the category that's defined here in expense intent, which is view monthly expense intent right here. So we're gonna get its category, right? Config.category, and we're gonna map it to our expense category, okay, for the values. Okay, so we're simply gonna say pattern take all and return all for the expense category. Now we're gonna repeat that for all the other cases. So food, and we're gonna have a default which is gonna return all for all the other scenarios, which is going to be basically the unknown. If it's unknown, then return this. Okay, now here, instead of returning expense category, we get this information from the configuration for the snapshot. So what we can simply say is here, give us a category as well, category for, and the for is going to be supplied inside the configuration. So this configuration right here is going to have the current selected value that user has provided, right? So for that configuration, we're going to simply extract that configuration.category and match that category to our expense category and pass that expense category into our expense entry. And expense entry is going to then use it to render our view. Okay, so that's how users' configurations are passed along into the widget. All right, for the timeline, we're gonna have, let's say, entries, for example, which is an array of expense entry. Okay, and we're gonna generate a timeline. Basically, that's gonna consist 5 entries, and they're gonna be an hour apart, starting from current date. Okay, so current date, and then I'm gonna create our offset 0 to 5, and we're gonna say entry date is equal to calendar.current.date, and I'm gonna say by adding to hour, and value is gonna be our offset to current date. Okay, then we're gonna create our entry, and we're gonna supply within the entry the entry date that we created. Okay, and the category is once again gonna come from configuration. So I'm gonna say category for configuration. Okay, so we're gonna map that, and we're gonna say entries dot append entry. All right, then next up we're gonna create our timeline. For entries with policy as at end to update. Now completion, we're going to supply that timeline like that. Okay, so that is going to be our timeline that's created with the configuration option that we have created for the intent definition. Okay, so that's our intent. We have our entry created, we have our category created. Let's create our placeholder view. So I'm gonna simply create placeholder view. Now I'm creating this in a single file, just because we can actually wrap this one up. It's only one widget with some settings, but I would still recommend taking folder and file based approach because that's much more practical. Loading for the placeholder, and you can actually even use redacted. Oh, placeholder. Okay. Xcode is running super slow right now. Expense widget entry view. Let's create our entry view, and we're gonna create our entry, and this is gonna be provider.entry. We can simply say that whatever provider is providing as an entry. Okay, we can simply get that, or we can actually get it as expense entry like that. Okay, and we can create our body, which takes some view in a vstack expense view. Let's create our expense view that takes category. So category as entry dot category. Okay, let's create this view right here, and we're gonna be expense view type, and it takes category. Like that, and returns body. And here we're gonna actually have our switch statement for category. Okay, and Xcode crashed again. Actually, it's the autocomplete that crashed. So first we're gonna say for all the stack, and we're only gonna create the first one, and then rest I'm gonna copy paste. Opacity. Okay, and we stack. So it's going to be total expense. Like I said, it's going to be all dummy data. Title. Okay, then we will create a dummy graph really quickly, a bar graph. Alignment is going to be leading, and all we need is rounded rectangle with corner radius as 10 with fill as color dot white dot opacity 0.5, and I'm going to copy this and paste it, and the color for this one is going to be blue dot opacity 0.9. okay, and we'll have the frame with width to show how much of this has filled the graph, and height 20, is going to be some padding, horizontal, and then foreground color is going to be white. Okay. All right, so that's our first Z stack, right? And I'm going to copy this and paste it for all the others. So I'm going to say food category is going to have Z stack. It's going to be food expense, and let's keep it small like that. And then let's change the color. So I'm gonna say orange, just to show, like, you know, how there are different expenses when we put them as like different different widgets. They're gonna show up in different colors. So third one is gonna be gas, and this one is maybe purple. Okay, purple gas. Okay, and we're almost done. A few more categories. There's grocery and rent. So let's give it pink. Okay, and then we can have rent. Let's make it 6,000. Okay. Let's see. We have extra. I think we probably messed up the brackets. So let me see. This one is clothing. This one is clothing. Z stack. Z stack. Okay. Closing Z stack. Okay, perfect. Closing Z stack, and this one is extra, I guess. Control I. Okay. Expected. Okay. So what are you closing? Closing Z stack. Okay. So let me collapse these and collapse. Okay, so that's switch statement, then body, and then our view. Perfect. Okay, so that is gonna be our view, and then our widget. So main struct expense widget from widget, and we're gonna create our kind. I'm going to just copy and paste this name, and then we're going to create our body for widget configuration, and this is going to be intent configuration this time, with kind is going to be the kind that we created, not king, and the intent is going to be view monthly expense intent.self. Okay, that's going to be the intent. Provider is going to be the provider that we created. Placeholder is going to be the placeholder view, and then you have your timeline entry, which is going to be the expense entry that's being supplied to us, and we're going to simply say expense entry, expense widget entry view, and it expects an entry, so we're going to give it an entry here. Okay, and now we can simply give it a configuration display name, and this is going to be expense widget, and that's it. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and see if everything builds. Okay, looks like it's building. So let's go ahead and run it and see if we can get our expense widget showing up, and we can configure it. So expense app is installed. There's one more bug that I noticed that I just want to let you guys know is sometimes it's like whenever it's installing, you won't be able to like interact with the widget itself. And there you go, like we have our widget showing up. We can tap and hold and see where did the add button go. Wow, okay. We cannot add any more widgets. What do you mean? Really? I didn't know there was a limit. Okay, let me remove the weather widget so we can remove all the widgets there are. And okay, so let's see. Welcome to the app gallery. Okay, that's your app. Come on, go away. Wow. Okay, there we go. It started showing up. Oh, that was a bug. That was a pretty cool. Okay, so there we go. This is what you see. Like, you know, like I said, we only have one widget. That's why it's actually showing up. But you have a new option now. We should have edit widget. So you can click on the edit widget and it should show you the options. And that is a new thing as well. So see, unable to load. Like I said, it's super buggy right now. Let's try it one more time. Maybe this time it's gonna load. Let's give it a minute. And still not able to load. Okay, so hopefully you know, they'll fix this. Let me try the other widget and see if that one is actually loading. Nope, it's not loading. And that is very strange. Okay, so I tested this one on beta 2 and it was actually loading, and it should show, like, you know, basically an option for us to choose. Okay, so but I think that should actually be okay. I'll further investigate and see if there is any update or any change that we need to do. I don't think there's any change because this is a tested code, but I'm pretty sure it's like Xcode bug. Okay, so let me guys let me know, guys, like, you know, if you see the same thing, and if you find the root cause of the issue, if same thing is happening, or if I made some mistake. Okay, so we can definitely circle back on that. So and I'll keep investigating. I'll try to like run this with Xcode beta 2 and show you another video if we can debug that. Okay, because it seems like, you know, everything, like if expenses are showing fine, then the first expense is like, you know, the default expense. This is what we have actually said here, default value. So if we say, like, you know, hey, it's gonna be the food, and if we run it, it should show us a food expense widget as well here. Let it compile, and yeah, so I don't, let me see the target membership. I mean, target membership has to be correct, otherwise it's not even gonna show up. Yeah, target membership is correct. Okay, and this is public intent class. Okay, so it's definitely, there's something that's actually, let me see, can we do this? Can we go, let's debug, let's try. Let me run it again. And what we should see is hitting this breakpoint. Okay. You're not hitting the breakpoint. Why? Right. So there's one thing I found out, that there's something seriously wrong going on here. I have so many breakpoints right here. You can see like so many breakpoints, but none of the breakpoints are being hit. Okay, so there's something going on with beta 3 that's actually not good. So what I would suggest you guys to use is basically a beta 2. Okay, and I'm gonna actually download beta 2 myself as well and run this project in beta 2 and see if that fixes these issues. So I'll post an update to the video, but as you can see, like here we selected the configuration. So if I choose configuration gas here, and if I go ahead and remove this widget, right, the next widget that I'm gonna add is basically gonna be defaulted to gas. Okay, so that means that our configuration is being read correctly. Okay, it's just Xcode is being weird about it and not showing us the correct value. But yeah, do let me know if you guys encounter the same issue. There you go. See, like it's loading this and it's showing the edit widget, and it loads the configuration, but it cannot display the value, and I don't understand why it cannot do that. So does not need to be a parent parameter. Okay, yeah, this is very strange. Honestly, like I can't imagine like what this okay, maybe this is watch shortcut, so nothing here. Okay, well, I don't know what can we do here. So well, I think I'm gonna try to leave it and do more investigation on why it's not happening, and maybe downgrading Xcode version would help. Okay, but yeah, this is it for this video. This is how you create your configuration widget, and I know this this video is not complete because we were not able to see the actual configuration like demo, but I will post an update to this video. Okay, but thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys in next video. Maybe in next video we're gonna switch to beta 2, and we're gonna build out a widget bundle. We're gonna see like how you can bundle different widgets, like like we created expense widget, we can create another widget of different kind with another target, and we can bundle those together and display them as the library right here. Instead of showing like this one widget with 3 variations, we're gonna have like 6 widgets that are gonna have different variations. In our case, it's gonna be just 2 because we're gonna just support the smallest possible, but we're gonna have 2 different widgets that we're gonna show for example. Okay, so that's gonna be coming up in next video, so I'll see you guys in next video. Thank you. Hello and welcome back, and in this video we're going to be creating multiple widgets within the app, and gonna explore widget bundle. That's a new feature where you can bundle multiple different types of widgets into a single set, and when you present your widgets list to your users, you can actually show them like just like a single widget you show with different form factors. Okay, but before we actually go on and create that example, I want to show you I wanted to circle back on last video's discussion where we were having that issue of Xcode beta 3, and you could not configure the the widget, basically based on different categories that we created with intent definition. So what I ended up doing is I ended up downloading again Xcode beta 2. So as you can see, it's version Xcode version 12 beta 2. Okay, so I'm no longer running beta 3, I'm running beta 2. And if I run basically this one right here, there you have your app. And I'm gonna go home and then hold and tap and edit widget. You're gonna notice this is the category selection that you see. Okay, and this is what we were not seeing in Xcode beta 3 scenario. Okay, so code is exactly same. Now if you want to select a different category, you can do that, and you simply click out of it and your widget is configured with that category. Now let me show you what I was talking about when I was telling you can have multiple ones. So you go expense widget and you add another widget, and now you can actually configure this to have maybe rent. Okay, so you've got food expense, you've got rent expense, you can add more. And what this is going to do is basically this is going to keep refreshing these widgets based on their own set of conditions. So this is how you can have like configurable widgets, and then you can have different tile for each configuration, and it'll refresh independent of other. Okay, so that's how you can create multiple widget variations out of same widget just by using the intent configuration. Okay, so that is it for this example, not for the video. Okay, so I'm gonna close this one, and I hope you can get this, like, you know, Xcode beta 2. Just go to Apple download and download beta 2 again and use that, and hopefully in beta 4 or 5 Apple fixes this issue of configurable widgets. Okay, so I'm gonna close this one, and let's head back to our main topic of the day, and that is widget family. Okay, so we're gonna get started. I am going to add new target, and we're gonna add widget target. So we're gonna go down and select this one, and we're gonna name this one widget family. Okay, multiple widgets. Multiple widget is our project name, so let's say, yeah, widget family is okay. Okay, leave all the options default, uncheck if include configuration intent is checked, uncheck that one, and click finish. Okay, and we do want to activate the scheme, and there we go. Okay, so we have our widget created. Now let's go ahead and create some folders. So I'm gonna create a folder without a group without a folder, and we're gonna call this one widgets. Okay, and inside this we're gonna create more. So we're gonna create one called exchange, and we're gonna basically show exchange rate for this widget. So exchange rate widget, and there's gonna be another one that's gonna show random quotes from an API. So we're gonna call this one quotes widget. Okay, and now within these widgets we're gonna create more groups. So I need views, and widget, a group for models, and a group for services. Okay, and so let's get the exchange rate widget created, and then we're gonna go on and create our other widget, which is going to be course widget. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with models. So I'm going to create a model. So add a new file, and we're going to choose Swift file, and make sure the target is the family widget family. Okay, and we're going to name this one exchange rate. Okay, so I'm going to use basically this API. Let me pull up the API, which is a really simple API, but it's slightly limited in use for Codable, or at least I don't know, like, how to use Codable this way. But let me show you what I'm talking about. So I have this API. This API is api.exchange_rates api.io, and latest question mark base is equal to US dollars, and symbol is USD and INR. So USD and INR rates is what we are actually trying to get. Okay, the variable part, what I was talking about, is these rates are given between two currencies in their own symbols, right? So, and if you're coding codable class, then these names have to be exactly same, right? So if you change this to, let's say, AUD, for example, then the key changes to AUD. Okay, so I think if you want to make it variable, make this API variable, maybe use JSON serialization instead of using Codable. But for our example, we're gonna use Codable, because I just want to show you how you can patch this information and show, but you can still use like your own version of JSON parsing, and then work with that. Okay, so this is going to be the API that we're going to be using. Okay, so back to the code, and what we're going to do is we're going to create our exchange rate first. So we're going to say import foundation is fine, struct exchange rate, and this is going to be decodable. Okay, like I said, we're gonna work with decodable, and I'm gonna rely on those hard-coded keys. But like I said, you can change using JSON serialization and search for the key that user has selected to be converted for the exchange rate. There's going to be another struct which is going to have exchange rate response, and this one is also going to be decodable, and you're going to get rates and rates is going to be of type exchange rate, and date, which is going to be of type string. Okay, now that is your model. Now next up is your service. So let's go ahead inside the service, create a new file, and we're going to create Swift file once again, and this is going to be called exchange rate manager. Okay, and import from UI kit if you might need something. Struct exchange rate manager static func current rate. Okay, we're gonna use completion block, escaping type for exchange rate, which is going to return void. All right, we're gonna call our URL session dot shared dot data task with URL, and I'm gonna just construct the URL right here, and we will use that API link. So let me copy that like so, and I'm gonna post and wrap it. You can do all the checks if you like. We get data response and error. And then we simply check for error. All right. Response is equal to try JSON decoder dot decode exchange rate response dot self from data. Okay, and then we say if let response or exchange rate is equal to response. If we get that value, if it's not nil, then we call completion block and simply supply the rates. Okay, and don't forget to call resume. There we go. So that is our service. Okay, now next up, let's do our widget. So let's start creating our timelines and stuff. So we're gonna go create a new file, and we're gonna create this one and call this exchange rate timeline or exchange timeline provider. Like so. Okay, and import from Widget. Let's create a struct. Timeline provider. Okay, and for the entry type is gonna be exchange entry. We haven't created that, so let's go ahead and create that. I'm gonna create a new file, exchange entry, and exchange entry is gonna be simple widget kit struct timeline entry, and then exchange rate, like so. Okay, all right, so you've got exchange entry. So go back to your timeline provider. Exchange entry is not in the scope. Let's make sure the target membership is correct. And if you try to jump definition, okay, so awesome. It's actually there. It's gonna go away in a minute. Okay. Now next up is our snapshot, and we can create an entry. Or date. Some random data. Takes double, not string. Okay. All right, and we call our completion with entry. Okay, that's our snapshot. Then you have timeline, and gonna say current date is date, and refresh date is calendar.current.date by adding day. So it's gonna refresh every day. Value is going to be 1. So every single day, yep, adding to current the current date, like so. Okay, and then you simply call your exchange manager, exchange rate manager dot current rate, and you get a completion block, and this is where you get the rate. Okay, so you simply say let entry is equal to exchange entry, and you supply your current date, and you supply the rate that you have received. Then you take your timeline and construct that with timeline, and say entry is going to be the entry that's provided, and refresh is going to be after date, and that is going to be refresh date. Okay, and it's going to go here, and then you got your completion that needs to be called with timeline. Okay, so that is your timeline provider, and we already have exchange entry. So now let's go ahead and create our widget, so we know what views we're gonna need, so we can actually work on those. So exchange widget. Okay, and here we're gonna import from widget kit and maybe SwiftUI. Okay, gonna create a struct exchange widget, once again widget, and let's create our kind. So private let kind string is exchange widget, and we need body, and this is going to be static configuration of kind. Timeline provider we already created, we know that is exchange timeline provider. Placeholder view we have not created, so let's go ahead and create that. So we're gonna simply say new file, SwiftUI placeholder view or exchange placeholder view. Okay, and in exchange placeholder view we are going to simply say, I'm simply going to say loading, but you can change your widget to basically use a fancy widget with for redacted need. If you want to create a redacted effect, just create a rounded rectangle as a placeholder and show that. That's actually gonna work perfect. Okay, then we get our entry, and we need to use that entry, so let's create an entry view. So I'm gonna create exchange rate entry view. Okay, and exchange rate entry view is going to basically take the entry, so let entry of type exchange entry, right? And then we are simply gonna have a z stack. Inside this z stack, I'm gonna create this off-white color. So I'm gonna copy and paste. Okay, so this off-white color. Let me see if I can get the hex value for this one. Yeah, F4, F5, F7. Okay, so that's the hex value. And then you have a v stack. Let's get some spacing, about 10 points. And let's get a h stack as well with spacing about 5 points. Okay, and we're gonna have a text, and this is gonna be our dollar symbol, and font. It's going to be large title, padding, okay. Background is basically the same color. Clip shape circle, and shadow with color as color dot black dot opacity 0.2, radius 5, x 5, and y 5. Okay, I'm gonna copy that, paste it here, change this color to white, opacity to 7, and gonna cast the shadow in -5s. Okay, next up we're gonna have a text, and this text is gonna have string formatter, format with argument, and this is going to show 2 decimal, so 0.0.02f. okay, and for the arguments it's gonna have entry. So I don't know if we need arguments actually. Entry dot exchange rate dot USD. Okay, and this is gonna be bold, and foreground color is gonna be color dot black dot opacity 0.7. okay. All right, so next one is gonna be similar for the edge stack, so I'm gonna copy this and paste it here. It's just gonna be INR symbol, so the way you can get it is press Command Control space and look for maybe, yeah, so I'm going to use that, and that's Indian currency symbol, and rest remaining everything, yeah, everything remains same. Okay, so you got your H stack closed, and then your V stack, so let's give it a little bit of padding here like that. Default padding is good. And for the Z stack, edges ignoring safe area, all. Okay, and I'm gonna remove this guy from here, and there we go. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and see. We forgot something. We forgot our widget. Okay, so we need this one right here. Okay, so it's going to be simply in, and this is going to be exchange entry view. Entry is going to be the entry that's being supplied, and let's go ahead and build one more time. I'm going to select everything and format, Control I, and as soon as it builds, all right, so we have our first widget ready. Okay, now we're gonna work on second widget. Okay, and that is gonna go fast as well, because we already know most of the components, so we can just create those. Let me show you the service that we're gonna use, and this service is actually, I really like it because there's no API key or anything needed, and you get random quotes. Sometimes you do get errors and stuff. Okay, so like this, you get random quote every refresh, so you can create like a quotes widget that actually refreshes a quote every few minutes. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. We can actually create same widget, and we're gonna see how we can do it. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna create some new files here. So we're gonna start with our folders first. So let me, okay. So we're gonna need models. Okay, and let's get views. We might need some utils. Services. Widget. Okay, so we have model, widget, utils, and views. Okay, all right, I'll do it. Let's start with models. So we're gonna create a new file here, and Swift file. Gonna call this one quote. Okay, and this one is basically going to contain the quote. So I've already seen that what it returns. So I'm just gonna say decodable. Okay, so that's your model, and next up is your service. So let's go ahead and create that. So I'm going to create service Swift file. Okay, struct. Data task, and we're gonna use the URL overload. So once again, URL from string, and we already know the string. It is this guy right here, api.forestmatic.com/api 1.1.0/ method is equal to get quote, and lang is equal to en, and format is equal to JSON. Okay, and we're gonna force unwrap that one. All right, we get data, response, and error, just like usual. In, and then we simply check for guard error is equal to nil, else return. And you might want to report these errors somewhere or log them at least. I'm just gonna skip this for the brevity, and gonna consider that you're gonna do that. Dot self from data. Okay, and from the completion we're gonna call quote like that. Okay, and don't forget to call resume on this guy. All right, so that is our service, and let's see, we might actually, you know what, for utils we might need a random color generator. So let me create a colors class, colors plus extensions. Okay, color plus extension. So extension color is not gonna get detected because you need to import SwiftUI for that, like that. Okay, and what you need is static func random, and opacity is what we're gonna expect user to pass. Okay, and this is gonna be of type double. It's gonna return a color, and it's just gonna return some random color. So we're gonna use color RGB. Okay, double dot random and range 0 dot 1. Okay, so we're gonna get random color for red between 0 to 1. Same for blue, and opacity is supplied to us. All right, that's our color extension. And let's go ahead and create our timeline provider now. So I'm going to create a timeline provider. Select Swift file, quote timeline provider. Okay, and gonna import widget kit and import SwiftUI if we need something from there. Struct. Okay. Timeline provider like that, and I'm gonna format it. Okay. Then next up, we're gonna create our entry. Entry is going to be of type quotes entry. So let's create that. Quote entry, and entry file is gonna be simple like other entry files. Widget kit, and it's gonna be struct timeline entry public let date. Okay, and public let quote. Okay. All right, so go back and quote entry, gonna give it that. So that's our entry. Let's create our snapshot and our timeline. So snapshot, and snapshot is gonna have an entry. Date type. So it's telling me that there's something wrong with quote, so we're gonna see what it is. I'm gonna use one of the quote that I got from the API, and gonna paste it here. Okay, for our snapshot, and gonna call completion entry. And I have no idea why it's saying it's an error type. So let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, go ahead and build that. Date is not in scope, that's why. Import foundation. Okay, let's go back, and that should actually at least build. Okay, cool. So let current date is our date. Let refresh date is calendar.current.date by adding minutes to value is gonna be 10 minutes. So we're gonna refresh every 10 minutes to current date. Okay, and then we're gonna simply say quote manager dot get quote, and we get our quote here. Okay, and we simply say guard let q is equal to quote, else return. There's nothing we can do, or you can actually provide some default values if you like. Quote entry, date is going to be current date, and quote is going to be q. let timeline, and then you're gonna have your entries. It's your entry, and policy is after a date, and that date is refresh date. Okay, and call your completion or timeline. Okay, so let's go ahead and build that. Yes, we do need to call it return and build that one more time. And let's go ahead and create our widget now. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new file, and we're gonna call this quote widget. Now there's one thing you might be wondering that is missing is the main, and that's where we're gonna actually use our widget kit bundle. Okay, so we are just getting there as fast as we can. Okay, struct quotes widget, and private let kind string of this type. Okay, and then gonna have our body. Once again, it's gonna be static configuration and kind. Timeline providers are quote timeline provider. Let's create our placeholder view. So I'm gonna create okay, so that's gonna be our quote placeholder view. And next up is our entry. Okay, so let's create our entry view. Now our entry view is going to be, let's select SwiftUI template this time, and quote entry view. Okay, entry view is going to be well, simple. It's not going to have much in it. I'm going to remove this preview, and then I'm going to say this expects an entry. Okay, and next is our Z stack, which takes color dot random with opacity 0.6. That's how we're going to use our random color. And here we're simply going to show a text of our entry dot quote text, and we're gonna put a new line and a dash and our author name. So entry dot quote author. Okay, dot bold dot foreground color is going to be white, padding default padding, edges ignoring safe area all. Okay, all right, so those are, well, let's connect our widget before we call it done. So we are simply going to say here, and we need quote entry view quote, no, entry. Okay, and let me take this guy out. Okay, all right, format. Okay, so one thing we want to do is fix this error first, and then we do want to provide supported family. So I want to say supported family for this widget is going to be system medium. Okay, and configuration option, and description. I'm gonna copy and paste. So we're gonna restrict to these two. Okay. Basically, not restrict to these two. What we're gonna say is, like, we're getting famous quotes here, and some description, and supported family is system medium. And for the exchange rate, I'm gonna copy these three things right here, and I'm gonna go to the widget and provide its modifier as well for system small. Okay. And okay, like that. Okay. All right, so two of our widget, there's one gonna be small and one gonna be medium, of size, family size. Okay, now the entry point. Okay, so how are we gonna create the entry point? So I left this file on purpose. Okay, and we did not create apps, so you can create if you like. Well, we don't need any of these, so we're gonna remove everything from here, and you're gonna simply say struct you can call it, like, widget family or something. Widget family widget, sorry, let's call this, yeah, widget family widget bundle. Okay, so this is not the widget, it's this one is called widget bundle, and this one we're gonna decorate with main. Okay, and we're gonna create body, so it takes a body and returns some kind of widget, and we have to attribute this with widget bundle builder. So this is going to be of type widget bundle builder. Now we're gonna use our exchange widget here, and quote widget. Okay, just like that. So you've got those two widgets ready to go, and if we build and run, and if we haven't done something terribly wrong, hopefully it's gonna build and it's gonna show us two different widgets. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is that's okay. So I'm gonna remove this old app, so it removes all the widgets. There we go. Okay, so let's add a new widget. So I'm gonna click add multiple widgets, and there you go. So you have your exchange rate for widget that you created, and you have your famous quotes. And if you notice, there are only two widgets that you're providing, right? So you can, let's say, add this one, and let's add the other one as well. Okay, add widget, and well, I have no idea why. This must be the API issue. Anyways, the intent was to show you how you can add widget bundle, and you can figure out the API related issue later on. But yeah, for our case, this is how you can actually create widget or family of widgets with different variations. Now, if you had a case, let me show you something really quickly. If you had a case where you said quotes widget supports small and large, right? In that case, what's going to happen is you're going to see three widgets. One is going to be of type exchange, because we only support small family for that one, and the second one or other two are going to be of type quotes, because we support two families for that. Okay, so let me do it again. All right, where did it go? Come on. Okay, it's not showing up. let me, okay, now it is showing up. So as soon as it's loaded, now it's going to show up. So as you can see, we have 3 widgets now, right? So we have medium, large, and the small one of different kind. Okay, so that's how you create your widget family. Okay, so hopefully you found this video helpful. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in another video. So thank you.